Hello, everybody, and welcome to my pop-up podcast where I talk about the American Song Contest. And this week we're talking about week 3. So we'll be going over the results from week 2 and then talk about this week's performances. There are 12 songs to go through, and we'll go through them one by one. Now, full disclosure, I am filming this intro after I've already done the full episode. And I think it's so that I can just give you guys a warning that it's kind of a hot mess in the beginning. I feel like I am very frazzled and like my thoughts are very scattered. And that's because I'm actually about to get on a plane to Europe. Surprise. By the time you guys are watching this, I will be in Poland. First time going there. And then I'll be going to the Czech Republic. So I'll be traveling for a couple weeks and I will not be in Sweden, unfortunately, but Poland, Czech Republic, brand new places for me. I'm really excited to go see them. And anyway, because my flight leaves in like a few hours, I am just all over the place. So that's my little disclaimer. And lastly, just a quick little promotion of if you are watching this on YouTube, just know this is available on Spotify and Apple Podcasts if you're more into the listening part of it. And then vice versa, if you're listening to this on Spotify, there's a video to go along with it. So that is on my YouTube channel. Yeah, I hope you guys have been enjoying this series so far. And again, I will be posting normal content after this is all done. So I'm so worried people are getting scared away by how much I'm talking about these song contests. But do not worry. This is just a temporary thing. Hence why I've called it a pop-up podcast. So, okay, enough of my little intro. Now I will go ahead and play what I just recorded where I talk about the American Song Contest 2022, week 3. So week 3, I actually thought that it went really well. So far, I've been really impressed with all of the performances from every week. And the show is doing okay. You know, I'm glad we're 3 weeks in and it's not a disaster. So what I do like is that they are making an effort to, I guess, change the format a little bit, introduce some new things. And so this week, their new thing was showing jury results as the show was happening. Now, I don't know if you guys know this because I found out last week from reading one of their little disclaimers in the credits, because they were coming up with these jury results immediately. And it seemed a little too quick to kind of get those results. Well, it turns out the jury results are based off of dress rehearsal. So what that means is the jury, like we already know who the jury vote is before we've even seen the performances. Or I guess like we don't know, but you know, the producers behind the scenes, they already know which performer will be moving on to the semifinal. So as it's going through each performance and then they're showing just how quickly each performance ranks, that's because it was based on the dress rehearsal. And I'm not sure if the dress rehearsal is like earlier that day. I would assume so, you know, that would make sense. But anyway, I mean, I like that we got to see all of the jury's order by the end of the episode, but I didn't necessarily like how they were presenting it because they introduced it after the second, they showed the first song. And so of course it's like, oh, well, he has the number 1 spot because he went first. But then they went after the second performer. And so the second performer already has like, finally gets off stage, huge adrenaline rush, and then immediately is in second place. So they're not going to be the jury vote to move on. So it was like an immediate buzzkill, and I felt really bad. And it happened later on too, where it was like, it was even worse later on when there's maybe 7 or 8 people who have gone. They're like, well, let's see how this person stacks up. Dead last. It's like, oh, they just performed. So I like that they show the jury results. I think, you know, that's one of the I think one of the most exciting parts when you watch Mello or Eurovision is that they do all the results at the end. So you really, each result is really exciting to hear, like, oh, who got how many points and whatnot. So I do hope that they will keep tinkering around with this idea, but I am glad that we got to see, before the episode ended, we got to see the full order. But speaking of jury results, let's talk about week 2. So we found out who was moving on. And last week, let me see if I can pull up the results here. So at the end of the episode for week 2, we found out that Kentucky, Jordan Smith, was automatically qualified for the semifinal with his song Sparrow. So we also found out that the jury selection, it went, so Kentucky was first and automatically qualified. Second place was Kansas with Broderick Jones, Montana with Jonah Prill, and fourth was Maine with King Coyote. It's been a bit confusing trying to sort out the jury votes versus the audience votes, and I'm still not quite sure how much weight they each have, and if if one jury member, it gives their own personal ranking of 12 points to 1 point or something. Still a little unclear. One thing I also noticed though from the jury results was Oregon, I struggled with this last week too. Oregon ended up getting 11th place based on the jury votes, and kind of similar to New Boot Goofin. Oh, I thought I almost forgot the name there. New Boot Goofin didn't do well either. And so I'm wondering who's on this jury, because they clearly have something against the more silly songs. I don't know. I'm just 2 weeks in a row where it's I think a lot of people really did like Oregon, and especially based off the Spotify results. Now, I actually had a lot of fun looking this up last week to see just how many plays each song was getting. And let's see, pulling this up now. Yeah, okay, so $1 Million Smoothies currently has the most listens on Spotify for week 2. Now, to give an idea of just how little traction this show might be getting, the number 1 song from week 2 has 43,000 plays. So not very much. Yeah, so the number 1 song on Spotify was $1 Million Smoothies. They got last place from the jury and they didn't move on. Now, I don't know if that means, I don't know how many votes they got, though. I wish they would show us more of how the audience votes stacked up against the jury. Yeah, okay, interesting. Green Light by Anissa. Which country was that? Country. I'm in Eurovision brain right now. I think she was from New York. And I will say, so it's been a week now, and I've been listening to all the songs a lot more. I love the song Green Light. That dong. Oh my gosh, you guys, what is wrong with me? I'm a mess. Yeah, after listening to last week's songs a bit more, I definitely like Green Light. I liked Over You by Elmira Zaki. And the one that moved on, Tell Me by Broderick Jones. And Broderick Jones did move on. Happy about that. But I'd say my other 2 favorites did not move on. But of course, there's still the potential for the wild card. Now, I wanted to go through some comments later, but there was a comment that made a very good point. And this is I'm just paraphrasing because I don't have it pulled up. But in my last video, I talked about North Dakota with the song Can't Make You Love Me. And I was criticizing the studio recording, saying that, I watched the live performance and I loved it. The studio recording then was a bit of a disappointment. And overall, it's not one of my favorite songs. But there was a comment that really, yes, very good point, and I should have said this. The winner will be based off the live performances, right? So I really should have just thought like, yeah, okay, I should be, even though like behind the scenes, if I'm putting on my Spotify playlist, that song I might be skipping. But in terms of live performances, that was an incredible job from North Dakota. What was it? Chloe Fredericks. So Chloe Fredericks moved on. That was the first one announced from the audience vote to move on. And I definitely think that was a good choice. So anyway, thank you to whoever commented on that. And maybe I'll be able to pull that up later. But I totally agree. It's more about the live performance in the end, even though sometimes I do wish it could be like, oh, but if you listen to the studio, then this song is so much better. But it is what it is, right? This is based on the live performances. So, okay. Now, moving on. Oh, I do apologize. I feel like I'm all over the place with my thoughts. And it's because I'm about to get on a plane. Okay, so enough of the results from week 2. We are moving on to 12 performances from this week's episode. Yeah, so for the first time ever, you guys, they did not have a commercial break between 2 performances. And we're all excited about that. I was proud of the TV station for allowing a longer segment before the next commercial. But this week it had an extra performance in it. Each week we'll have 11, but this week had 12. So they had to squeeze one more in there. And we started out with Texas with Grant Knoche, of course. Oh man, am I going to say this every week? Like, I didn't look up the names. I don't know. And he had a song called Mr. Independent. The song title worried me a bit. I just feel like it actually is funny because Kelly Clarkson is hosting the show, and she did point out her song is called Miss Independent, and she is also from Texas. So it was kind of this funny, like, ha ha ha, they both have independent songs from Texas. But Mr. Independent just sounds a bit cheesy. I don't know. Miss Independent sounds cheesy too. I'm not giving Kelly Clarkson a pass on that one. I would say the most interesting part of his interview was that he said he used to be in Kidz Bop. Oh my gosh, you guys. Okay, so I think a lot of my listeners are from Europe, which makes me wonder if they know what Kidz Bop is. Is Kidz Bop a thing in Europe? I feel like it's not. But a quick overview of what Kidz Bop is. Back in the day, I mean, this is like, it's my generation. I think that's why I'm like, whoa, he was in Kidz Bop. Basically, Kidz Bop was a way for parents to have their kids listen to pop music, but without it being too inappropriate. So that they would have a bunch of kids sing covers of these top songs, and they would replace any swearing or any adult subject matter, whatever. It always sounded awful. They would completely change the song. But the worst part was that they would actually do covers of songs that didn't have anything inappropriate in the first place. That's my little rant. Kidz Bop is awful, and somehow they've made like 30 albums. It's okay. Now I gotta find out how many Kidz Bop. Oh, wait, I do like that. How many kids does Nick Cannon have was the top result. How many kids does Nick Cannon have? 7 kids. Okay. I didn't know he had 7 kids. Okay, let's go back. I'm getting distracted. How many Kidz Bop albums are there? Oh my gosh. Kidz Bop tours. They do have an international expansion. Okay, the UK, Germany, France, and Mexico. They all have Kidz Bop expansions. Oh, here we go. You guys, okay, so there's Kidz Bop 40, but as I've been scrolling through this list, there's got to be at least a dozen specialty albums of like Christmas songs, Halloween, more Kidz Bop gold. The coolest Kidz Bop Christmas ever. Greatest hits. Kidz Bop greatest hits. What the heck is on that album? That can't be real. Okay. You guys get my point. This guy, Grant, was in Kidz Bop. And to me, Kidz Bop is just like, I've always wondered, who the heck is in Kidz Bop? Now I know. It's Grant Knoche. Okay. That was a long tangent. But going on to the actual song and performance, I first wrote down that yes, this has strong Eurovision vibes. So I was totally into it. Graphics were top notch. The song was fine. It was a lot more low key than I was expecting, but I appreciated it because as we'll see later on, I think the show needs to figure out a good balance, more, classic, less is more. Some of these performances have so much going on that it's just a distraction. So his, I thought, was a very clean performance. He's an amazing dancer. The graphics all made sense. 20 dancing friends showed up on stage per usual, but at this point, we know that's going to happen. All right, and then things fell apart a little bit when his outfit was revealed. What is that outfit? It's not good. I don't think anyone should be wearing mesh outfits. Mesh outfits with pockets. Why? I guess I'm thinking they're pockets. They looked like it. It didn't make sense. I thought he looked much better when he still had the jacket on or whatever he was wearing beforehand. Because then I'm just distracted by his see-through shirt. Oh, yeah. And then this poor camera guy, Grant keeps he did it twice maybe, where he goes up to the camera and does like a total early 2000s where he like grabs the camera and like pushes it away, like, whoa. But he did it twice. I'm like, oh, this poor camera guy. Just like, I just imagine the camera guy like, please stop holding the camera. And once again, looks like lip syncing, but if you've listened to the past episodes, you know my thoughts on that, and I just don't think that's going to be resolved. And just as another disclaimer, it's amazing how I feel like I always have to put in disclaimers and then I'll still get comments that ignore the disclaimer. But I know no one is technically lip syncing, but the backup vocal track is way too loud to the point where like, can you even hear him singing anyway? So, because there is so much dancing with this song that definitely there were times where microphone was not near his face, still heard him perfectly fine. It's like, oh, okay. Oh, but one thing that I pointed out, and now that I'm realizing this was the first performance, but I think it was the only one that had Texas colors in like the background. So I think Texas colors are just red, white, and blue, right? And I don't know if that was a coincidence, but anyway, they incorporated that in the background, and if that was intentional, it was a nice touch. And then straight into performance number 2, we had Louisiana with Brittany Pfantz. That can't be right. Okay, next week I will make sure I learn the pronunciations of these people. Now, this is something that I don't think I've commented on yet, but it's week 3, and now I need to bring this up. Because in every interview, they really do a nice job of visiting all of their hometowns and really kind of highlighting 3 main things that each state is known for and whatnot. The part where I'm like rolling my eyes is how every single artist is clearly asked the question, how does your song represent your state? Like, each person got this question, and then they have to come up with some reason why their music is the perfect reflection of the state they're from. It's like, no, it's not. It's just a song. And the song is more of a reflection of probably personal experiences, which I guess in a way, because of where they live, it could have to do with the state, but I'm gonna go on a limb and say it's not. So this is a good example. I swear every contestant has said stuff like, oh, my song lives and breathes North Carolina. Or like, my music wouldn't be what it is today without those Kentucky influences. Like, and I'm just making up the state. I don't know who has said what, but I feel like every interview has had some form of that where it's like, lives and breathes like Idaho. No, it doesn't. So anyway, I know I have an example of that coming up, of a quote that was like, oh my gosh. And it's not the artist's fault. It's just more of like this forced producer move of like, see, each state is unique and we're all representing our states. And that would maybe be a little more true if they had the individual state competitions. But again, I mentioned this last week, but like, we don't even know these people. Like, they just were picked out of who knows how many applications, and they found somebody from each state. All right, but going on to the song. The song is called Now You Do. And my biggest critiques, I guess, are with the staging and the outfit, kind of, because again, if you've listened to some of my other episodes, like the song starts out where she's just standing in this one spot for a while because she has these really dramatic like side cape things coming out. It almost like a giant skirt in a way. And so she can't move because of this thing. And then she's got two people standing behind her. Anyway, everything's just very stationary for a while. And then, so of course I know at some point they're gonna like pull this skirt thing off. And then they do, and there's nothing interesting underneath. It was just her with like pants. Whatever she was wearing, it was like, oh. So what was the point? Why was she wearing that? What was the message of like pulling off these two giant cape things? So I feel like that was a missed opportunity there, because it gave me very similar vibes to Tune with that performance, also with a big old like trench coat. But there's something under the trench coat, and sure enough, there was like a beautiful gown underneath. So it was like, why did they do that? Why did they pull that off and there was nothing underneath? And like, I don't know. To me, it just seemed like it wasn't a complete thought, or I missed what it was supposed to represent. But the things I did like, I did think they had like bat graphics flying around. I thought that looked really cool. And the song, I did think it was really catchy. And I like the studio recording of it. She had described the song as like something you'll feel in your soul, and that definitely felt accurate. I did think it also got a bit too repetitive at the end, but who knows? I might have just been distracted still by everything going on stage. But she had lots of energy, so really great job performing, and we'll see how it does, I guess. But after this performance, they had shown what the jury result was, and immediately was like behind the first performer. So what a bummer, right? you just get done and all of a sudden you're like, oh, okay, I'm already not going to be the jury vote. Second place out of 2 people. Like, yeah, that's got to be a bit disappointing. Number 3 is Tennessee with Tyler Braden, and the song is called 17. Now, okay, so I was making fun of how each state is like, my song really represents Maine. But this time I believe him. He's from Tennessee and it was a country song. So okay, I believe you when you say that your song represents Tennessee. He had a great voice, really liked his voice. And I said it was a beautiful song. I didn't have much else to comment on, so I did say, let me look up the lyrics, because clearly he's telling some sort of story. 17. So looking at the lyrics, it just sounds like a typical, like, I don't know, coming of age song. I'm never quite sure if I'm using coming of age correctly. But I will say, I think in the chorus, man, what a good line. We were 17, we were digging down deep and howling at the moon, caught somewhere between little too late and way too soon.
And howling at the moon, caught somewhere between a little too late and way too soon. And we were 17.
Maybe it reminds me of, I'm blanking, Cornelia Jacobs' song for Eurovision this year, where my favorite line, of course, is like, it kills me that I found the right one at the wrong time. Similar, right? Sad. Okay, well, yeah, it was a very nice song. I'm just going to have to listen to that one a bit more on the studio recording. And I would say that was a good pick for the jury vote. That seemed overall great performance, great song, great singer. Yeah.
We were 17.
Number 4 is New Jersey with Brooke, Alexx. And the song's called I Don't Take Pictures Anymore. Now, quick side note, in the interview, she's talking about how at New Jersey, you don't pump your own gas, which is something I've heard. And that's, that sounds crazy to me. Like, oh, weird. Someone will pump your gas for you. What I didn't know is it's illegal to pump your own gas. That's crazy. I thought it was just maybe like, oh yeah, that's common. A lot of gas stations, someone will pump it for you. I didn't think it was like everywhere and that it was mandatory. So, and then she describes her song or like maybe her style as a mix between Dua Lipa and Taylor Swift. And after hearing it, I'm going to say mostly Taylor Swift. I wasn't getting a lot of Dua Lipa vibes, other than the fact that she kind of looks like Dua Lipa. But I don't think the song sounded much like Dua Lipa.
Always stop cutting it short. Am I better off? I'm torn, but I don't take pictures anymore.
Oh, here we go. This might be one of my favorite lines. This is what she said in her interview. I want to instill confidence in people the same way New Jersey instilled confidence in me. How did New Jersey instill confidence in you? What? Like, I don't think a state does that, Well, I say that and now I'm thinking like, well, I mean, you go to New York or LA and people are way more outgoing and maybe less shy. So maybe there could be some truth to that. But like my first reaction is like, no, just because you're representing New Jersey, you do not need to claim that New Jersey instilled confidence in you. I don't know. You guys need to leave me a comment and tell me if I'm wrong, but tell me nicely, please. Okay. And then going to the song. Yeah, I said definitely T Swift. I mean, Taylor Swift even has, you know, songs about Picture to Burn, you know, felt very similar. And then they've got pyro going on in the background, which I thought was like, they just threw pyro in there for no reason. But then I did realize the pictures in the background were burning up. I was like, I'll allow it this time. But I do feel like they try to add in pyro as much as they can, just because they can. And yeah, again, this poor camera guy. It's like already got whipped around the first time. And now, yeah, what is it? Brooke, Alexx also grabs onto the camera and is like, pushes him away. Leave the poor guy alone. He is just trying to do his job. I did say I liked the outfit. I thought the song was catchy, but it was really tough to hear all of the vocals, which is another thing I have coming up, and something that I've maybe left out of the past couple episodes, but the audience is like almost too into it that it overshadows a lot of the live vocals in the very beginning. You kind of miss the first 5-10 seconds because people are still screaming. And yeah, so this one, I didn't even hear the beginning of the song. But overall, I liked it. For me, it's in the middle of the pack. Number 5 is Alabama with Nico, stylized. It's got like Ni/CO, and that's a combination of their first 2 names, which is, I didn't write it down, it's something and Colton. Yeah, I missed it. All right, I'm not finding it quickly. Like I even went to their, to their Instagram page, and it just says Nico. So I don't know what her name is. Okay, but their song is called The Difference. We find out in their interview that they are actually dating. And when the song starts, it goes to like a widescreen cinematic look, which I always think that looks pretty cool. It definitely adds more of like a music video element to it. Yeah, I wrote on this one, like there's so much screaming from the audience that I couldn't hear the song. A lot of it. I think once it finally got to the chorus, I could hear it a bit more.
I'm misusing my words, making it worse, not my best decision. Won't you say that I'm forgiven?
But I said this song also had Taylor Swift vibes. I think she's done some duets, right? I'll for sure be inserting music clips here if I can think of one.
Get through the pieces of my heart, admit that I was selfish too. It felt like we were oceans.
And they're both really great singers individually. The harmonies in the beginning of the song almost sounded just a little bit off, but things really lined up much better towards the end when they were sounding like back to back. And and they were both doing like they were both belting, I guess, and that sounded really good. And it was fun to have more. I feel like that's like the first real duet we've had. We've had a couple other performances where there's maybe multiple performers, but this felt like the first true duet. So that was a nice touch. And at the very end, they kissed. I wasn't into that. I don't know. Just kissing on national TV weirds me out. Is that just me? On live national television. I have to say that because I clearly watch The Bachelor and a bunch of dating reality shows, and that's also kissing on national TV. But I feel like this is like, I don't know, you sing this song together and then make out on stage. It's like, they weren't making out. I'm just being dramatic. But I think this one did really well with the jury vote, and I'm going to guess this one will move on as well from the audience. So, yeah, we'll see how that one does in the votes.
Out of a daze, finding my ways back.
Number 6, we have Florida with Zabala. Zabala. Song was called Flirt, and she was originally born in Colombia but moved to the States when she was 3. And so her song kind of has a mix of both a Latin pop, and then it also had a mix of English and Spanish. Now I think this week, this might be the only song that did way too much of that color issue that we've had with the other couple weeks, where everything is one color and then it's just hard to see. This was that performance. Everything was so pink, and I have to wonder if it looks better in person, because on camera it's hard to watch with just all of that color going on. But something I loved was her outfit. And can we just talk about the fact that she's wearing assless chaps? And I'm here for it. You guys, let's bring back assless chaps and make them cool for the first time. I don't think they've ever been cool. I was into it. I didn't understand it, but you know what? More power to her for getting up on stage and wearing those. I mean, she pulled them off. Like, I don't know. It's when you have that much confidence, you can pull off anything, really. I thought the song was really catchy, and I would say, yeah, listening to the recording of it, like the studio version, I've really liked it. I've only had time to listen to it, I think, twice, because it was the first one in the playlist. So I got to hear this one twice, and I like it. And there is an accordion, I'm pretty sure it's an accordion, that I didn't even make note of when I watched the live performance. But in the recording, there's an accordion, and it's great. So she's bringing back assless chaps and accordions. Yes, I want all of that. So this is one of my top songs of the week, I think. Number 7, we've got Alaska with well-known artist Jewel, and the song was called The Story. You guys know I'm about to vent whenever I have to take a breath and like compose my thoughts for a moment. This song was a mess. It made no sense. I don't know. It was a lot. And it could have been great because, okay, there was very similar elements to a typical ABBA song. And it honestly sounds like she's trying to write an ABBA song. Because, well, there's multiple things that kind of are reminiscent of that. But the chorus is in a different key. And that's a very tricky thing to pull off in any song, I think, where you actually change keys for the chorus, because then you have to go back to the original key for the verse. So it just sounds off. And this part makes me so emotional. Just a girl in a lonely world. And then there's another key change later. But the worst part for me was that she starts talking in the middle of the performance. That has to be one of my biggest, I don't know, pet peeves. Something I just can't stand in pretty much any song is when somebody actually starts talking in the song. And so out of nowhere, she's saying stuff like, what is it? Like, this song is for anyone whose story isn't over yet. It was just so cheesy, and she talks for like way too long too.
Dedicated to anyone whose life might have taken a turn for the worst, or anybody who's afraid their magic is gone. Take heart.
over it.
So that's in there in the middle of all these key changes. Yeah, I just think that if she weren't Jewel, then the song probably wouldn't do well. And even based on the jury vote, it didn't do well. I think it got second to last from the jury. And I did say she captured the cheesiness of Eurovision, but the song is a mess. Yeah, that was a bummer. And for me, I would say that was my least favorite song of the night. Number 8 is South Carolina with Jesse Laprotti. Song's called Not Alone. During the interview, he described the song as R&B, pop, urban, got some swag, or at least that's how he described his own style. And this song was none of that. R&B, urban swag was probably the last description I would have given this song. It reminded me much more of like a Disney movie type of song. Definitely had like a children's vibe to it. Yeah, again, we had about 20 dancers show up out of nowhere. And it was like right in the beginning, they already had like the steam or like the fog machines going crazy. Like, they don't need to do so much with each performance. And they did it so early on that there was no build up. You can't just start with the smoke machines, you guys, because then there's nowhere to go. I also said that the stage itself, now I'm trying to say this from memory, even though I haven't double checked, but the stage reminded me of the music video from NSYNC for their song Pop. Isn't that what it was called? Like, dirty pop, don't stop, dirty pop. I've really been enjoying doing impressions recently. Anyway, I don't know yet if I'm right or wrong, so future editing Meagan will put in a clip and we will see if I was accurate.
Sick and tired of hearing all these people talk about what's the deal with this pop life and when is it gonna fade out.
But the song itself, even though it sounded like a Disney movie instead of R&B, it was still catchy, just a totally different style, but not bad. And I did like the breakdown in the middle, and I said he was a great singer.
In a world that's picture perfect with all the fakeness that's around.
Yeah, it was a good performance, but what was South Carolina? I think this got bottom, if I remember correctly from the jury, which means that even if the audience votes this one number 1, could it even move on? It's like, because we're seeing that now in the past couple weeks where it's like basically whoever the jury gives last place means they're out. Maybe. So, I don't know. By the end of this show, I'm hoping I will understand the weight of the votes. Number 9, South Dakota. These band names, you guys. It looks like Judd Who's. That just does not sound right. And let me see, what was the name of the song? Bad Girl. Ooh, yeah. So I really liked the live performance for this one. And I have to say that now because after listening to the studio recording didn't wow me, but I did like their live performance. So just going off of that, I really enjoyed that. And also, I'll keep saying this every week, but my opinions can definitely change on songs as as I listen to them more and more. So these are just more initial thoughts, and who knows, maybe in like a week or so, I'll be loving the studio recording for this song. But the song starts out, and I just have so many questions for who's ever doing the staging and the production. Like, some of these have been incredible. That first song, that was like 10 out of 10 staging, graphics, dancing, all of it. Some of these other ones, mess. So clearly these artists are being paired with different teams of, who knows, production people, and they're getting different quality results here. So this one, it was like, the song starts out and he's holding an old-fashioned microphone, and within like 10 seconds, he's already handing that microphone off to someone off screen, and we never see the microphone again. What was the point? That microphone added nothing to the performance. It just seemed like an idea. And then they were like, okay, it didn't make it better. It just felt like it was just there as like something to do. Okay. Why do I get so worked up about tiny things? I did like the main line of the song, which was, what I need is a bad girl that's good for me. Excellent play on words. I like that.
Cause what I need is a bad girl that's good for me. What I need.
What I also thought was weird was, in the beginning of this song, there wasn't any screaming from the audience, and I still couldn't hear them. So I don't know. I don't know if he was just like a quieter singer, or if was the mic farther away. But by the end, I was like, okay, I am enjoying the song now. But in the beginning, I was really struggling to kind of hear what was being sung.
I said better in a song. You don't really.
Yeah, but overall, I really liked it. It was a really chill song. But I have no idea if it's going to move on. Number 10, we have Delaware with Nitro, Nitra. The song is called Train. What I learned from her interview is that Delaware has tax-free shopping, which I'm going to guess is not actually tax-free. I think that just means the prices include the tax, which the US should definitely do. That was one of the things I missed most about Sweden, was when you saw a price, that was the price, and you didn't have to always get some surprise at the end, like, oh, that's right, now you have to add 7% tax or whatever you're buying. So Delaware, apparently they've got tax-free shopping, which was interesting to find out. She describes herself as a soul singer, but rock and roll is freedom. I think that's what she says. So I still wasn't quite sure what to expect, if it's going to be rock and roll or soul. But overall, there was just something about this performance that I loved. Now, the song wasn't my favorite, but I was just so like mesmerized by her and her outfit. Outfit was amazing, 10 out of 10. But she just also had this like intensity about her, and I loved it. So this song, or this performance, has definitely stuck with me ever since I watched the whole episode. It's one of my favorites.
I'm stuck on the train. Can anyone hear me? I'm wrapped in these chains. Somebody will free me. I'm going insane. Trying to get back home.
Yeah, but overall, I really enjoyed this performance and the song. So, yeah, it's hard. I feel like I don't necessarily know who people are going to vote for, but I've also been pretty lucky with the last couple weeks. I feel like, okay, my initial reactions seem to be pretty on par with what other people were thinking or voting for. So if people were as mesmerized by this one as I was, then this one should go through. Number 11 is Northern Mariana Islands with Sabyu. Ugh. Pronunciations, I'm sorry. Song is called Sunsets and Seaturtles. I've definitely been enjoying that they've been including the U.S. territories because I'm learning so much about them, to be honest. This song was just a nice, chilled out performance. It was just him on the stage with his guitar, and I love the graphics of when he's standing on water. Man, anytime they've been able to utilize the floor for their graphics, I am such a sucker for that. Like anytime they've done that in Mello or Eurovision where they just make it look like they're standing somewhere, it always looks so good. So it almost looks like he's standing in the water, and then of course everything going on around him. Now I will say they had a turtle come in on screen. That was, ugh. Once it finally had like looped around a little bit, it looked much better. But when it first started out, it was like, oh no. It kind of had the same issue as like the feathers from last week's episode with Jordan Smith singing Sparrow, and they had like these feather graphics, and it was just like, no, please stop. That just looks really cheesy. Like only if it can look amazing, then it works. And that's like as soon as it looks a little bit too graphic-y, I don't know if that's the right word, but you know, it either has to look amazing or just don't do it. So I don't know, not a huge fan of the turtle.
I don't know what to do besides sing a little song about this and that to you.
I will say I was a bit surprised that it was more of a jazz type of feel. You know, we'd seen this whole interview where he was doing more of like a tropical vibe, and I wasn't expecting the jazz elements. One thing that I will say, that watching the live performance, it almost felt like this song was too low for his voice. And I kept thinking that throughout. Like, I didn't know if it was so low because eventually he was going to do something much higher. But if I remember correctly, the song doesn't really go to that next level. It's like, so in general, I feel like the song should have been a little bit higher for his voice, but in the studio recording, it sounds okay. Anyway, I don't know. I mean, as long as it feels comfortable for his voice, but that's why it almost sounded too low, is like, it sounded like he wasn't using his full vocal ability or something like that.
Sunsets and Seaturtles came here together for you.
We'll see if this one moves on. I do think that these, like the territory votes have been pretty strong, or at least week 1, we know Puerto Rico moved on. Week 2, we didn't see the, Virgin Islands. We didn't see Virgin Islands move on, but I feel like they're still probably got a lot of votes. I'm not sure. Anyway, we'll see how this one does. Last up, we have Colorado, Riker, Lynch. The song's called Feel the Love. He claims he has a tropical vibe, and I'm going to say it. This song did not sound tropical whatsoever, and maybe his other music does, but that was also a thing they were really running with in the interview, was like, I'm from Colorado, but I sing tropical music. And like, that's so unexpected because Colorado has lots of snow and mountains. Anyway, it was like, the song was just a typical pop song. And it sounded extremely Swedish, like a Swedish pop song. And he kind of looked a little bit Swedish, so I'm a little suspicious.
With every breath, the chance is wasted if you don't chase it. That's why we're staying up tonight like crazy.
Now the chorus of this song, I was thinking of it last night. It's like, oh my gosh, what does this sound like? Because I was trying to sing along with it. I'm like, it sounds just like another song. And then this morning, I thought of it. So let me play the chorus for you guys.
I feel the love right now. Let's make it last somehow. Don't wanna let this feeling die.
Okay, so then this morning, I thought of the song, and it sounds like Katy Perry's Never Really Over. And I will play that for you.
Feel
isn't just like that. My hair still takes me back. Thought it was done, but I guess it's never really over. Oh, we were such a mess. Let's make it less a mess. Don't wanna let this feel like it's never really over. Something buzzing. Tell me I'm wrong. Suspiciously similar, and I'm wondering if anyone else thought the same. Yeah, and I think that was the last song, wasn't it? Okay. But okay, we'll say, I mean, it was a catchy song, can't deny that. And outfit, not into it, kind of looked like pajamas. He does do some pirouettes, which I did enjoy, and he did some crowd surfing. I actually really liked that he did go into the crowd and we went to a different, I don't know if there was a stage there, or he got up onto some platform, and that was nice. It really does add a different feel to the song, because a lot of Melody Festivalen songs, they'll end up going to kind of like stage 2. There's like another one that they cross over onto, and it really does add something to the performance when they can just kind of move away from the big set and join the crowd. And it was a nice way to end the episode. So we found out after that Tennessee is moving on to the semifinal. So at this point we have seen, what have we seen? 34 songs out of 56. So we're past the halfway mark. Well, for at least for all the songs, and then, and then we've got semifinals and the final. But what did you guys think? What songs were your favorite? What do you agree with or disagree with me on? Do you think these people are really influenced by their states and that their songs represent these states? I don't know. But okay, I'm going to leave it there. And just so you guys know, I am actually headed to Europe, which is really exciting. I am not going to Sweden, actually, but I will be in Poland and Czech Republic. So I'll be traveling for a few weeks, and I will still give you guys the updates. I'll somehow stream it online, or at least, try to watch all the YouTube performances, and everything should still be on schedule for this little pop-up podcast. So that is why I've been I feel like frazzled. I think I finally found my rhythm a little bit by the end of this podcast, but it started out kind of rough. So because I literally am about to fly to Europe in like 4 hours. Something like that. Oh my gosh, I gotta pack. Okay, so by the time you guys hear this, I will be in Poland. So otherwise, I think that's it. So if you've made it this far into this podcast, thank you for listening. I really appreciate it. And I will catch up with you guys next week when we'll talk about week 4 of the American Song Contest. So I'll talk to you guys later. Hey, do.